I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report, and I see that I am live on Periscope, Facebook, D Live, and come on, YouTube. Yes, YouTube is live. Nice, guys. What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, August 19th already, 2020. It's the day after day 2 of the Democrat National Convention, which was probably not interesting to anybody who watches my show, or I don't even know if anybody's been interested, period. You know what I mean? But anyways, supposedly, according to Drudge, 19 million people tuned into the first night. I don't know. I find that kind of hard to believe. Maybe they were watching on cable or something. Actually, it wouldn't even be cable. It would be network news. Probably because all the Democrat fan people in the mainstream media played it on their platforms, right? I guess that's the only way it could happen. It is 9:04 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. You can call in 888-775-3773. 888-775-3773. I have some interesting stuff for you. I want to talk about Cortez a little bit and fake Christian Democrats, all right? And some other stuff. Also, I have to get to some crime information that I didn't get back to yesterday. So, with that, let's get started with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, fake Alexandria Cortez endorsed fake Bernard Sanders. Did you know his name was Bernard? Who endorsed fake Joe Biden, who was also endorsed by phony Black RINO Colin Powell. And I haven't heard from Condoleezza Rice, but I'm tempted to say Condoleezza Rice because of the Chappelle skit. But anyways, what phonies, huh? Oh my gosh. And I have a story for you from the Catholic Register or something like that is talking about Alexandria Cortez's supposed Catholicism. And most Catholics are phonies because so many of them are Democrats. They kiss up to the illegals and stuff like that, and they have this false version of charity and love and all that stuff, just like the other normal Christians. Ryan 8U says, Loomer wins over the boomers. Yeah, I don't know. I touched on the story of Laura Loomer, who won in her primary district. I would much rather have Alan West there, but Colonel Alan West, the seemingly solid Republican and former Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, he's a black dude, but he is solid, seemingly. He is going to hopefully prevent Texas from turning blue. He can't do it by himself, but I like seeing some, what I consider to be strong leadership. I have never paid a whole lot of attention to him, but every time he's interviewed by the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and when I've generally seen him, he makes strong statements, and yet he is calm and straightforward in conversations with people. And he is hated by seemingly, I don't know, he was endorsed for president, I read, by Glenn Beck. Did you know that? That's before Glenn Beck turned into a nice, soft, cuddly teddy bear, nicey guy who, I don't know, was he a fan of Trump? Was he not a fan of Trump, I mean? Not really sure. But, you know, the Democrats have this quote-unquote Christian Democrat former president, Jimmy Carter, a one-term president. And he was popularly known as the worst president ever until Obama came on the scene. And then Obama was the worst and Jimmy Carter was the second worst. I'm not positive if that's true or not, because there have been some awful and evil presidents, some of whom were elected over and over and over again. I'm talking about like FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, who ushered in just sort of started the destruction of America. Or he was definitely helping it along, let's put it that way. But I mean, I guess the useful idiots voted for him, right? So it's not just him, just like it wasn't just Obama who was really evil. But he endorsed the fake, isn't Joe Biden a Catholic reject? Speaking of Catholics, if you're rejected by the Catholic from taking communion or whatever you're supposed to be doing, then you're really fake. You are like beyond the pale because Catholics are quite lenient, I think. They even allowed Democrats to be Catholic, don't they? As long as you're pro-life. What a mess. So, but real quick, before I get to that, yesterday I covered some interesting information about the disparities in who's committing the crimes and stuff like that. You know, how they pretend that blacks are subject to disproportionate scrutiny and disproportionate prison sentences for the crimes they commit when whites can commit the same crimes and serve less terms. Well, we don't know that that's true, actually, because when you look at the details, they get plea deals, they get there's all kinds of stuff that's going on. Well, I have a little bit more information that I had not quite gotten to. And I wanted to talk about cop killings. No specific stories necessarily, because we know that Black Lives Matter inspired many ambushes against police, massacres of police. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, one guy who was a Black Lives Matter sucker, a former Nation of Islam guy, I think, or maybe that was the Dallas one. Baton Rouge and then Dallas, Texas, I think, was another cop massacre. Took place in the same year. I forget what year that was. It was just a few years ago, like 2016, 15, 14, I don't know. They're all the same, though, all these people. And then up in New York City in 2014, I think it might have been December of 2014 or something like that, this guy murdered 2 cops in their vehicles. They were sitting in their vehicles, I think. Shot this Asian guy and this other, just police officers, NYPD, because he said, I'm putting wings on pigs in a blanket. I'm putting pigs in a blanket today. He said both of those things, and he posted on Instagram a picture of his gun, and he said, rest in peace, Mike Brown and Eric Garner, right? And Mike Brown was the gentle giant thug who tried to kill former officer Darren Wilson, according to the evidence, according to the forensic evidence and witness evidence. And he got himself killed in self-defense. And then Eric Garner resisted arrest and said, this ends today. And it did end that day. He got himself dead. Overweight guy, couldn't walk a block without having to stop to catch his breath. 40-something years old, father, had been selling like Lucy cigarettes, had a history with run-ins with the police, supposedly had just broken up a fight, so maybe he was winded, but he was like, no, resisting arrest. And so they came up behind him, took him down with a seatbelt maneuver. People, they called it a chokehold. Whatever. They finally, recently, fired former officer Pantaleo, Daniel Pantaleo, the guy who took him down. But it was nothing like, it was not any horrific crime, but they, the Black Lives Matter people stoked it up like it was a racist thing. Stupid. So I have some information about, a recent decade. This was a study going across from taking numbers from the FBI. Law enforcement officers feloniously killed, race and sex of known offender, 2004 to 2013. The number of known offenders in this time frame, documented by the FBI, which is hardly extensive, but It was documented by the FBI. Number of known offenders, 565 in the span of 10 years, 2004 to through 2013. Whites, 289. Blacks, 243. Isn't that interesting? Whites killed 289, 63%, or maybe even more, actually. 70% of the population, or maybe more than that, because this was more than 15 years ago, through more than 7 years ago. 69 or 70%, 63 to 70% of the population killed 289 police officers. Blacks, which is 13% of the population, killed 243 police officers, almost the same amount, by 1/5 the population. Asians killed 9, Indians killed 1. That's American Indians, I believe. And not reported, 17. So blacks were 43% of cop killers from that decade, in that decade, which is a pretty long study. 13 to 14% of the population, 43% of cop killers. But their percentage of those blacks who get killed by police is not that high. It's not. They are like twice or maybe 3 times as likely per their population to so-called die at the hands of police. Not over 40%. Isn't that interesting? Whites, including white Hispanics, were over 70% of the population. Black cop killers were overrepresented by 3+ times their share of the population. Crazy, huh? And blacks were 5 times as likely to kill cops as quote-unquote whites. By those numbers. 5 times as likely. And they're in San Francisco, I cite this stat all the time. According to one study or one number from San Francisco area, blacks were 8 to 9 times as likely to resist arrest as others. That is a lot. That leads to potentially fatal confrontations with the police. So, whatever, right? And I have a couple of experts, more honest experts, much more honest experts for you guys, if you ever are interested in this stuff. John Lott, L-O-T-T. John Lott, old-timer. He has been interviewed by Jesse Lee Peterson many times, and he's also been interviewed by the great young man Vincent James on his show. Did you know that? Dr. John R. Lott Jr. John R. is his middle initial. PhD of crimeresearch.org. Crimeresearch.org. He said that, according to John Lott, Barack Obama, when he was president, said that blacks are arrested at twice the rate of whites, but he failed to note that blacks commit murder at almost 6 times the rate that whites do. And that's true. I showed you guys in the even the juveniles, ages 10 to 17, they're more than 6 times as likely to be arrested for murder. Obama said African American and Hispanic population make up only 30% of the general population, but make up more than half of the incarcerated population. But his own FBI claims that gangs commit 80% of crimes in the United States, and the National Gang Center estimates that 82% of gang members are black or Hispanic. Duh. So Obama was evil. And that's a note for the black RINOs who support Obama pretending that he was a great president. Obama claimed blacks receive sentences that are almost 10% longer. 10%, woo! Than the comparable whites arrested for the so-called same crime. Putting aside questions as to how comparable the crimes are, or the criminals' past histories, or whether they show up to court and, all these things, wear a suit, different things like that. Obama, again, left out crucial details. Again, I'm reading from what Dr. John R. Lott Jr. wrote. Whites are more likely to face other penalties than blacks, fines and restitution, loss of professional licenses, and a greater drop in legitimate earnings upon returning to the labor force after prison. Is that racism? The whites are losing more money than the blacks were. I guess because whites had more money in the first place, right? And that's from Obama's false racism claims are putting cops' lives in danger. an article in New York Post from 2016. So Obama should stop smearing cops by calling them racist. That's Dr. John R. Lott Jr., guys. Excellent researcher, honest man. He's also author of the great book, which I haven't read it, but I assume it's a great book. It's a great title. More Guns, Less Crime. He's just a logical man. And now I have a fairly logical woman for you, ladies. According to Heather MacDonald, and I kind of emphasize that the Mac because it's 3 words. Heather MacDonald. She's written for City Journal and others. 12% of white and Hispanic homicide deaths were due to police officers. She's based, Chris, I swear. Yeah, Heather MacDonald. I mean, she has good information. I'm not a simp, I promise. She said 12% of white and Hispanic homicide deaths are by police officers, while only 4% of black homicide deaths were the result of police officers. And homicides are often justifiable, more often than not, especially when they're from the cops. Justifiable homicides. So don't pretend that homicide means murder. It's a justifiable killing, whether in self-defense or defense of the community, or just they're acting too erratic and couldn't contain them and they got themselves killed some way or another. The Washington Post claims that Washington compost is what it is. Compost is made of poop. I know, I got it from the great Mark Levin. But it's a good name for them. The Washington Post. Their mission is to kill democracy in darkness. And actually, it's not democracy they want to kill. They want to usher in the mob rule. They want to kill America. They hate America. But they claim, they try to document this blacks killed by police stuff, because they're activists. They're not honest people. They're agitators against America, and against whites, Christians, Trump, just everything that's decent, they're against it. Washington Post claims that unarmed black men in 2015 were 6 to 7 times as likely as whites to die at the hands of police. But they did not admit that these quote-unquote unarmed black men, at least 5 in 2015, tried to grab the officer's gun or had been beating the cop with his own equipment. Reminds me of the case in Atlanta where the guy stole the taser and shot at the cop. Some were shot accidentally as a result of their assault on an officer, and 2, included by the Post, were struck by stray bullets in justified police shootings. One unarmed, quote-unquote, black man in San Diego jumped an officer who shot him for fear of his life. Right on. Once in 2015, 3 officers were killed with their own weapons, which suspect had wrestled from them. Black and Hispanic officers, by the way, I reference this quite a bit, are quicker and more likely to fire a gun at blacks than white officers. Did you know that? Black and Hispanic officers, quicker and more likely to fire a gun at blacks than white officers, according to the DOJ's COPS program in Philadelphia Police Department, Pennsylvania, 2015. University of Pennsylvania criminologist, which that's a buzzword for a lying a intellectual, but this guy even admitted, Greg Ridgway, I don't know much about him. Greg Ridgway, University of PA, criminologist, in 2015 determined that black cops were 3.3 times as likely to fire a gun than other cops at a crime scene. I could totally see that. Can't you? But anyways, blacks are, again, 13% of the population, 30% of those killed by police, and 47% in some years of those who kill police. Police killings of blacks, by the way, are down 70% in the last 50 years. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, honestly, because they've been hamstringing and female making the police. You know what I mean? Because in the last 50 years, although police killings of blacks are down 70%. Yeah, feminizing. Thank you. I was about to say womanizing, but that's not right. Think about that. Last 50 years, and this was from 2015 or so, police killings of blacks down 70%. But the murder rate by blacks is way up in the last 50 years. I know it was even higher in the late 80s, early 90s, right, supposedly. But it's still way high. Daily Wire, you guys know the Daily Wire. It says the FBI data found 40% of cop killers are black. So it's ranging from 40 to 47%. Heather McDonald says a police officer is 18.5 times as likely to be killed by a black than an unarmed black is to be killed by a cop. It's true that blacks are 3 to 4 times as likely as whites to be killed by police, but they are 5 to 6 times as likely to kill police. Just some interesting information. They're also 3 times as likely as whites to be felons, 6 times as likely to commit murder, as I told you before, nearly 3 times as likely to commit rape, 7 to 10 times as likely to commit robbery, and 2 to 3 times as likely to commit aggravated assault. Just had to share that stuff with you. So, I mean, it's just, and you don't even have to know statistics, right? You just have to look around. And even just look at the attitudes of blacks versus whites in general, right? Or, even the activists, they're just nastier. So like I say all the time, Black Lives Matter does not have a leg to stand on, nor does the lying, deceptive, evil, should know better mainstream media. Or look at all these. I heard Goodyear was kissing up to Black Lives Matter. Did you guys hear about that? Goodyear kissed up to Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ stuff. And I don't know in what context, but I just saw this. It was trending on Twitter. But you can't wear MAGA if you're a Goodyear employee or whatever. I don't know. And you can't say all lives matter. So they're evil. And look at pretty much any corporation which has, these HR people. HR is human resources. And really it's like liberal activists who infiltrate these places. And it's very sick. They promote, you go to a bank in June and it's like Happy Pride Month on the screen of the what is that called? The ATM screen. It's really, these companies are so sick. It would be nice to boycott them all. There's an app that Jesse Lee Peterson has interviewed the people somebody involved with this app called Second Vote, or it's also a website. Second Vote, 2ND vote. And yeah, www.2nd as in second, right? The number 2nd vote.com. And I think you can download the app, but what the heck? I hope this is right. It says something about Planned Parenthood. Hopefully it's speaking against it. Or maybe it's just telling you who these people are supporting. I don't know, but back several years ago, I was involved as the producer of the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and we interviewed them, and it seemed like something that you could find out who these different companies support. But over the years, these trashy corporations, McDonald's, Taco Bell, I think, and all these sick people support illegal immigration and everything. Is there a source reference for that police shooting data so that we can repost the screenshot? I got it from, look up Heather McDonald, and the FBI has some information about law enforcement officers feloniously killed. UCR, Uniform Crime Reports, Table 44. That was a survey from 2004 to 2014. Dr. John R. Lott. In all honesty, you shouldn't even make I shouldn't even really be too into stats unless like you really know your stuff about that and you can present it really well. One guy who's good at that stuff, other than these two, or there's two others. Larry Elder's into that stuff because he's an intellectual. He's actually a lawyer, Larry Elder, and Vincent James. So those four, they're the four kings and one queen. Heather McDonald, Dr. John R. Lott Jr., Larry Elder, and Vincent James. Oh, and of course, the great Jared Taylor, Amran.com. He has a book, The Color of Crime, and, you know, he's censored for being alt-right or whatever. These people, they're so sick. They have a backwards version of morality. If you're white and moral, you're evil. If you are immoral and pro-homosexuality and transgender madness and pushing that stuff on kids and putting women above men and giving special treatment to illegal aliens and all that stuff, then you're good. And you get special treatment by the social media establishment, which is the same thing, just trash as the mainstream media, which is the same thing, just trash as the disgusting, corrupt corporate world. And even look at the churches now. The Catholic Church, the Protestant churches, which is the rest of the normal Christians, and all of them are just awful. And the Republican Party, just kissing up to the women. Worse than me. Sick. You know, okay, let me read some super chats and then I'll get to some calls and then I'll tell you about Cortez, Alexandria Cortez. She endorsed Bernie Sanders because it was just posturing. She's playing a role. She's phony. Anyways, some people think, oh, it's very brave. But it's not. Jenny Crosby, 2020, because she's supposedly going against the establishment. But she's already established. She's sticking with the degenerate platform that she supports. She's a useful idiot for the destruction of America. Jenny Crosby, 2020, says the DNC couldn't draw flies to... He said something else. But thank you, man. Appreciate it. I don't know if I can say that word. And he even cleaned up the word. But, you know, this is a children's show. Jenny Crosby 2020. I'm going to apply to YouTube Kids. Did you know that? I'm just kidding. Jenny Crosby 2020 gave a diamond and said, Laura Loomer is a good woman, Hake. And she hates big tech. Well, big tech hates her. No woman is good, but appreciate it. Simp. I'm just kidding. Keep donating, Jenny Crosby. No, I mean, she's yeah, some might say she has questionable loyalty. She knows how to get attention. Let's put it that way. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, Hake, stop wasting time on Twitter. It's a liberal cesspool. Yeah, I know. It's about people. Gave a diamond and said, June is Bride Month, not Pride Month. Damn them! And yes, I read a cuss word, and it's all these angry faces cussing. Interesting. Yeah, people are supposed to get married in June. Nick says, it's where it's at, though. Very millennial way of speaking. It's where it is. Hydro PX gave a diamond and said, Happy Men's History Month. Yeah, very much so. Happy Men's History Month. We definitely need men. We don't really need Laura Loomer, although I'm happy for her, I guess. We don't need Anna Paulina, whatever her name is. Luna? Is it Luna, her last name? I don't know. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, gay pride flag is a mockery of God's covenant not to flood the earth again. Yeah. They're using the rainbow. There is this Christian group that I think they called themselves Taking Back the Rainbow. Kind of corny in my opinion, but they're nice. But that's the problem with the Christianity nowadays. Just cringy, nicey. Ugh. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, I also have a story about cheating UCLA students, and it's not just the whites. In fact, it's not even mostly the whites. And I can relate to this story. Later on, I will present that to you. But first, let me get to some calls. Appreciate the super chats and the lemons, diamonds, ninjets, ninjaginis, and ice cream through dlive.tv/the Hake Report. They're not discriminating against me, even though they're Chinese. Unlike YouTube, which is discriminating against me right now. They say I'm not advertiser friendly or something like that. So since I'm not advertiser friendly, they don't want even you to support me. So what a mess. Let me get to Louie in Idaho. He's been on hold for some time. I haven't heard from you in a while, Louie. Good to hear from you.
You can't put me on hold so long, Hake. I'm a day drinker.
What does that mean? Don't explain.
That means whatever. I was thinking about the being RINO and all that. You know what? My Marine son tells me I'm a RINO because I don't vote.
Oh, yeah. You should.
Because I'm from a red state in Idaho.
But you should still vote.
Yeah, but now I might have to vote. I used to vote just to cancel out my still ex-wife's vote. She voted Democrat.
Ouch. Isn't that a slap in the face?
Yeah, so you don't count now, anyway.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of Californians coming from
I've heard that.
California. Yeah.
To Idaho.
Yep, to Idaho.
And they're a bunch of liberals mostly, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't want to take a chance, but I mean, I'm thinking the Democrats want Trump to win. That's what I'm thinking. Because why would they say? Well, why would they say, Hake, they're going to put a 10-year tax on their, even if they move? What is that all about?
Oh yeah, I read briefly about that in a Drudge headline, and Jesse Lee Peterson mentioned it in Church, towards the end of Church, which we put out a clip that included that. It's in his answer to the biblical question from last week, and his new biblical question. He brought up the fact that California, the laws and the regulations and the allowing homelessness and crime and criminals out of prison and all that madness to increase in the country and in the state, and illegal aliens to overrun and immigrants, so-called immigrants. They are running people out of California, and there are like Hollywood people, singers, and all these stars moving, and Joe Rogan, and all these sleazy people leaving the country, but sleazy but fairly rich and well-to-do. And now the money-grubbing Democrats in the California government are making they're instituting a wealth tax, and they're basically, I think they're gonna pass it because there's nobody to stop them. The Republican establishment in California, if you could call it that, are safe RINOs. They try to tell Jesse to simmer down when he's fighting up there in Sacramento sometimes against these no bail laws and stuff like that, bail reform. And so, yeah, they want to start this wealth tax. It's probably the nation's first so-called wealth tax because they're strapped for money or something like that. They're overspending. They can't do that. They can't do that.
These
people have...
How do you pay taxes to 2 different states?
Yeah. Yeah, and Matt...
It's like going to a new state, getting your license plate changed.
Right.
Paying that for them, and then for both.
Matt living the dream said, good luck getting the other state to enforce that. Yeah, but, right? Other states are getting more and more liberal, anti-freedom, anti-American every year, you know what I mean? And so they might try to enforce that. I mean, you can't get away from it.
Put laws in place, but, I wouldn't do it.
You know what else is driving up the costs in California?
Maybe just forcing people not to move.
in California, they have people, after you retire, the pensions that these people get, so-called public employees, so-called public servants, have huge pensions. I'm talking about that's money coming in after you're not even working anymore.
That's why New York was. I converted my mother and my stepfather to red.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, they were totally Democrat forever.
Yeah.
I converted them. It took me a while, but I converted them, you know.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well,
I might have to vote this year, you know.
You better start converting those liberals from California who keep coming to your state.
Yep.
Some of them might be reasonable, one or two.
Yeah.
You never know, right? Anyways, Louie, appreciate you.
All right, thanks for taking my call, Hake.
All right, take care.
All right, take care, bye.
Bye. You know, let me get to Rick in Hampton, Virginia. He wants to talk about mail-in voting. I think in California, that's all we have. Is that true? All we have is mail-in voting? They sent us, I think they sent me a ballot. Because of COVID, yeah, that's the excuse. And you know, everybody who gets a driver's license, and they try to give driver's licenses for decades now to illegals in this country, in this state. Everyone who, they're automatically, or they're trying to get them automatically registered to vote. And there was this scandal the other year of them bungling records in the DMV. It's such a mess. Anyways, Rick from Hampton, Virginia, how are you?
My brother James, good afternoon, my brother.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning from my side of...
Oh, yeah, I forgot y'all behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shoot. Well, other than that, man, we doing good, man. I'm just praying that President Trump don't let him do that mail-in voting, man, because I saw that was coronavirus designed to do, to force people to try and vote by mail.
Right. They're doing everything evil with coronavirus and trying to blame it on Trump. And they're the ones behind most of the voter fraud in the country, which they don't want to look for. And you don't have to have any evidence of voter fraud or whatever, or corrupt voting results to know that the post office can't handle it. They make mistakes, and old stuff goes to the wrong address, and wrong people get the wrong stuff regularly.
Yep.
In some places. Right. It's so corrupt. And, you know, people, it's wide open to cheating. And people who can cheat will cheat.
That's right, because you know I'm like this. It's like the people that hate you, they're going to be the ones counting the votes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I like how Trump is fighting this. It feels like he's the only one fighting it, though. You know, I don't really hear other Republicans talking about it. I don't really listen to other Republicans, but I don't hear them talking about it. I hear, like, some sensible people talk about it, like Scott Adams on Twitter. Yes, I go on Twitter. But, yeah, they're not to be trusted.
That's a big deal, man, because I'm like, I wouldn't have it. And since they want to push the coronavirus so much, if I was President Trump, I'd cancel the election. I said, well, if y'all don't want to, if y'all worry about, I just say we'll make the election once the coronavirus go down. Then we have the election.
Right. You know, he's joked about that a little bit, or floated the idea a little bit. But these people, the Postal Workers Union, they endorsed Joe Biden. You can't trust these people. That shows you how dishonest they are and how anti-American. Government employees, most of them are liberals, no matter where you go.
Oh, absolutely, yes. That's why in Virginia, a Republican, he'll win the whole state, but once when they say, well, Fredericksburg and Northern Virginia hasn't cast it.
Back off your phone a little, Rick. Back off your phone.
Can you hear me now, James?
Yeah.
Yes, and like when they have an election here, once the whole state can be counted, but when they go up there to the suburbs near D.C., I say, well, the Republicans going to lose ground now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Virginia's really bad. Yeah. That's where Terry McAuliffe is, right? Wasn't he a Clinton guy? Man.
You know what? I haven't heard of him, James. I don't know for sure.
Oh, yeah, just trust me, he is.
Oh, man.
Yeah, these people are gross.
And another thing too, if you listen to their convention, all their convention been about, James, is police brutality and racism.
Have they really had the nerve to be bringing that up? Because I heard, I looked on Fox News, I look a little bit at Fox News, right? And they said that there was no mention of the riots and terror attacks from the Antifa and Black Lives Matter on the country and against white people by the Democrat convention. No mention of the crazy riots that have been plaguing the country over the past few months now.
And all the liberal cities having hell, such as Seattle, Chicago, that all should be brought up. I mean, the Republicans should bring it up on their convention. I would. Yep.
Anyways, appreciate it, Rick.
No problem, James. Love y'all, man. We gotta hope that President Trump can stand with this mail-in voting. I wouldn't allow it for nothing. I say if they can go to Walmart, Costco's, the mall, and the liquor stores and abortion clinics, they can go take care of their hind parts and go vote.
I know. We need to bring more security to the vote. And they act like it's an attack on voting rights. And they bring up that guy who died recently, John Lewis.
George Floyd. John Lewis.
Yeah. And pretend like, he was a champion for voting rights and now voting rights are under attack. When really, first of all, we want logical people to vote, not Democrats, which are not logical. And anyways, I appreciate it, Rick. Take care, man.
Hey, love y'all, brothers. Y'all be good.
All right. You as well. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, Democrats want to replace police with robots. Wow. Hydro PX says, you're 18 plus and you don't vote, you're a beta. Thank you to the subscription people. Joe Maddock gifted a subscription to It's About People. Right on. Congratulations, It's About People. And thank you to Hydro PX gifting a 1-month subscription to F in the Chat. Right on. Congratulations. Appreciate that, guys. You can support also, if you're not on D Live, say the D Live stuff is too busy, the live chat is too busy for you, you can go to streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Shout out to King Alpha Nerd and Hot Computer Smell and others who've been faithful supporters on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Appreciate that, especially in these times when YouTube doesn't let you even super chat me. What a mess. Oh, gosh. Anyways, did you hear about the weather? It's been kind of crazy lately. And not just weather. There's been fires up in NorCal, exploding across the Bay Area. I got this from Drudge. Burning homes, sparking mass evacuations. Is it God's judgment? I don't know. Napa County, Contra Costa County, San Mateo County, Sonoma County. Aren't those all NorCal counties? I didn't even know there were that many counties because LA County is like huge. And so I think these counties are a little bit smaller than like LA County. I heard that even like Owens Valley is part of LA. I don't know. It seems like the Owens River is Los Angeles city property or county property or something like that. And that's kind of central, or I don't know. It goes all up and down. But Santa Cruz, Alameda, Marin, all these places. San Francisco, blanketed in smoke. It's crazy. So if you're up there, I wonder how Martinez is doing. Martinez, California. Ian, how are you doing? Haven't heard from him in a while. There was a crazy storm a week or so ago, more than a week ago, that messed with the beautiful people of Iowa. Well, actually, they're not so beautiful anymore. They voted out Representative Steve King, the great Steve King. Well, I don't know how great he was, but he was saying all the right things, and he got censored for it. They voted him out, primaried him. Ronna McDaniel, the so-called female chair of the Republican National Committee, more like RINO National Committee. But this is from The Cut on August 17th, 1 week after a powerful and widespread wave of windstorms known as derecho. Many mistakenly called it an inland hurricane. They were calling it an inland hurricane, including the media, but it's technically it's not. Ripped its way through Iowa, flattening millions of acres of crops, damaging homes and grain elevators, and leaving 4 people dead. I don't know if the body count has risen. 70,000 were still without power just in recent days, and I don't know where it stands right now. Many were without access to water, aid, medical care. USA Today said on August 11th, which was over a week ago, right? It was 800,000 people without power. Crazy. Lashed 700 miles across the Midwest on not this past Monday, but the Monday prior. Flipping cars, downing trees, widespread property damage. What a mess. An act of God is what they call it. What are they called? Those insurance companies, they call it an act of God. Do you insure against acts of God? No. What a mess. But I'm going to talk about the attack on men, and then in the next hour, I'm going to tell you about those cheating Asian UCLA students. And there's a big push to discriminate against Asians and whites who are like kind of overachievers at UCLA. The blacks are supposedly underrepresented. I don't know if that's even true, really, and Hispanics too, because they want to bring back a so-called affirmative action, which gives preferential treatment to females and blacks, and I think Hispanics, I'm quite sure. And originally, I think it was just for blacks. But we already have de facto, it's against the law officially, but we have de facto affirmative action going on in California and around the country. Because think about how the liberal mindset is. And by liberal, I mean the dummies mindset, right? People who kiss up to blacks, of course, they have an affirmative action mindset. And they'll do it whether it's the law or not, even if it's against the law. And these people are not law followers. And speaking of the attack on police, there was an attack on police. I haven't heard much about it since. In an Austin suburb, the suspect was barricaded in a home a few days ago, it seems like, maybe over the weekend. Did you hear about that? I don't know much about that story. But quickly, let me get to this trucker, maybe my least favorite trucker caller, because normally truckers are conservatives. Whether they're black or white, they call into my show. They're just think like men, and they're sane, but not this trucker. In fact, he owns a trucking company, but he's just dumb. Anyways, let me get to Tony in California. Nice to hear from you still, Tony, even though you are dumb.
Well, hello to you too, sir. How you be?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. And you? How are you? That's the question.
I said I'm fine. Listen.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah. I was calling. You were talking about statistics.
Right.
Dealing with black on black crime versus white on white crime.
Right.
And
that was yesterday.
You were saying that blacks were 13% in population. My question is this. Why have we been 13% population of this country since slavery? But yet you got Mexicans.
That's not true.
You got, let me say this. Sir.
But you weren't 13% of the population since slavery. That's a lie.
Well, hey.
Just FYI.
It's been 13% since I've been born. So, I've been
I doubt that.
Years.
How old are you?
I'm 59 years old, sir.
Yeah, it's a lie.
For 59 years, sir. And the thing is, and then the thing is, when you put in the white, when you add the white populations, you got Mexicans, you got Asians, you got Chinese, you got everybody in the white population. Because my wife, her birth certificate says white, and she's a Mexican.
I know. Yeah, that's making the whites look worse than they really are. The non-Hispanic whites.
That's that white privilege. That's that white privilege.
What? The Hispanics get to be white? No, that's not privilege. What are you talking about?
When it's on the birth certificate, it is.
No, it's not. That's not a privilege. That's just a birth certificate. That's meaningless.
That makes your population look more than what it is, sir. That's all.
Oh, that's why I said that the white non-Hispanics are 63%, but the whites, including Hispanics, they're over like, geez, they're like, must be like 77% because the Hispanics are 17, 18. They surpassed the blacks, Tony, and it's people like your fault. Well, I mean, predates you because you were born in 68 or something like that, were you?
No, I was born in 60s, bro. 60.
That's what I said, 68 or something like that?
No, 60. 60.
You were born in 1960?
Yes.
Oh, you said you're 59?
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said 58. All right.
Well, it still wouldn't put me in 68, Jack.
I don't know math.
I see. But what my question is also...
I just typed it into the computer.
Yeah.
And I typed it wrong, apparently.
You talk about this voter suppression.
Oh, I thought he said 52. I thought he said 50.
No.
I wasn't listening.
60,
I'm a bad
60.
listener.
I know you is. I know. But the thing is, I see your president trying to bring out the voter suppression law.
Why are you being such a female, calling him your president? He's your president, too.
No, I didn't vote for him. You did.
Doesn't matter. He's still your president.
No, he's not my president. Obama
Yes, he
my
is.
President.
Oh,
Obama
gosh.
is my president, and his rules and regulations and policies are still in place. But the thing
I know.
is,
That's what the problem.
hey, but the thing is on this, though, hey, he's trying to stop the vote by mail. He can't stop that. Because once you receive it, you can walk it in to the polls and drop it in the box. You
And
ain't got to put it in the
without
mailbox.
an ID,
Just
too.
walk it in.
Any old guy could walk it in, or gal. Any old cheater.
No,
Yes, sir.
You got to go by your signature, sir.
Nope.
It goes by your signature.
They don't
Stop
check your
telling
signature.
these
Don't be
lies,
silly.
bro.
They
Stop
do not.
telling these lies to
No,
these
man.
people,
No, this is such a lie. Tony, that is so ridiculous. People forge signatures so easily. What you talking about?
Oh, no.
Yeah, they do.
No.
Anybody can
No,
sign
sir.
any.
No,
They
sir.
do not.
What's the,
Ha,
if you
ha.
look at the,
Tony,
if you
no.
look at if you look at percentage of fraud, you'll see it's like 0.7.
That's because that's what they want to find. They're not looking for fraud. And the point of fraud is to get away with it. And it's very easy to get away with fraud because there's nobody double checking. Oh, let me see if this is your real signature. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but see,
right,
when
Tony.
y'all was doing that purging by vote, when everybody, like 4-5 people got the same name, but they got a different name, y'all throw all 4 of them out into the trash can. That's that purging by vote.
Whatever.
That's how Donald Trump won Michigan, and that's how he won Wisconsin, by throwing people votes in the mail.
No.
I mean, in the trash.
No, be quiet, Tony. You're just
I'm
lying.
just saying, listen to the truth, my friend.
But you're not.
All you
But you're
gotta
not
do-
even
y'all hate
acting
the
in
truth.
terms of common sense.
Yeah, right. Well, why y'all come up with purging votes then? Why you come up with purging votes? You want
Purging.
suppress-
I didn't do that, but I'm fine with purging votes because if.
Yeah, see?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
You fine with any means, way to
But
cheat.
no,
You fine
that's
with it.
you're accusing us of doing what you people do. You're
No,
just
ain't no
ignoring.
point.
You're
What
just
you
ignored
people-
the fact that vote by mail and walking in a vote without an ID is wide open to voter fraud, and you just pretended like that's not the case, sir.
Hey, you ever heard?
No, sir.
Let me ask you this, my friend. Let me ask you this. Y'all
Are
always
you
preach
Gen
about
X
God.
or are you
Have You
Boomer?
ever heard? You always preach about God. Have you ever heard the God law say, "What goes around comes back around"?
No, it says you reap what you sow.
It's the same thing, my friend. You reaping what y'all sow. You brought Donald Trump in by cheating. He's going out the door.
No, that's such a.
Enemies necessary.
Oh,
He's
so you're
going out the
admitting.
door.
So you're admitting the
Enemies
Democrats
necessary.
cheat.
Any means necessary. He's going at the door.
See, that's such a communist word. There's a communist organization called BAM, BAMN. It's spelled kind of like the cuss word damn, but it's called BAM, and it's
and one more thing, my
BAMN,
friend.
and that stands for by any means necessary. And basically, they don't mind lying to you, breaking the law, killing,
Well, we
stealing,
doing
destroying,
what the Republicans
and that's
do.
what you guys are doing.
What the Republicans do. That's
No,
all
I
we
don't
doing.
care what you claim the Republicans did. Half of them are communists, more than half really, are useful idiots as well. And you laugh, but it's true.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a shame. You're
right.
59. You're 59 years old, and nobody can take you seriously.
But the thing is, the Republicans are getting sick of your own president. They gonna vote against him.
Good. I don't want the phony. I don't want the phony rhinos voting. Period. I don't want them voting. And I'm happy that they're getting sick of Trump because that means Trump is doing something right.
Hey, and one more thing. You were saying that these companies are putting up all these things about Black Lives Matter. That's the same thing we look at y'all statues, bro. Same way.
Wow, you're evil.
Ain't no evil.
Yeah, it is.
Ain't no evil.
Yes, it is.
It's the truth of the matter. It's the same thing. You got a Robert E. Lee statue up in the middle of the
Robert E. Lee Robert E. Lee was a man of love and truth, by all accounts.
He was a hater and a rapist. Okay.
Rapist?
And
what the heck?
And a murderer.
Rapist?
Oh, he got black babies walking around here.
You're just making stuff up now. You're the hater.
I'm a descendant of Thomas Jefferson, to be honest with you. Okay?
Oh my God!
So,
I've never heard Chris laugh like that.
You know how you're
everybody raping. So the whites must have really gotten it out of their system because they sure don't rape anymore.
You rape the blacks or everything.
Whatever.
Even their thoughts, their conscience,
thoughts.
their names.
We raped them of their thoughts.
Come on, bro.
Oh man.
That's what white people do.
Be quiet. Be quiet, man. Be quiet.
Hey, the truth hurts. I know the truth hurts. But hey,
you're silly.
What you sow, brother. You reap what you sow.
I know. That's a warning to you and to everybody who's taking joy in the destruction of white people and Christians and the destruction of America.
You act like this wasn't going to come back to you.
You're acting like there's anything that's wrong that took place in history. Let's please.
You are disappearing from the earth, bro. You are disappearing from the earth.
Listen to yourself.
That's God. They ain't man. That's God doing this.
Listen to yourself.
God reaping what you sow.
No, listen to yourself, man.
I'm just telling the truth, man.
You're pretending to be all. Notice he's calling me man now, not sir, and bro.
How many babies you got? None.
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. Y'all disappearing from the earth.
Man, I know, but you're taking joy in it. You're taking joy in the destruction and pretending it's from God. You're such a sick person, Tony. You're really sick.
Jesse Peterson telling everybody how the relationship with their father and mother,
right.
But he ain't got no relationship with his own son. So how
yes, he does. What you don't know what you're talking about, Tony? I almost called him Earl. Yeah,
that's why he
shut up, Earl.
Talking to me. I tell the truth for him.
No, you don't know anything about truth. You hate white people. You hate black people.
Nobody, bro.
Yeah, you do.
I don't hate nobody,
yeah, you do.
Hey,
you don't believe it. I mean, you don't even believe. You're citing God as this, as you know, as.
Truth is the light. Let it
no.
shine.
You're not about light. You're for Democrats. What the heck?
Well, hey.
Ain't no hey about that. I'm turning black. Ain't no hey. People say that I'm the white Jesse.
Giving it all to the rich, like Donald Trump doing. And he going to
Tony, man. Tony. Do you do the silent prayer?
Silent prayer? What are you talking about, man?
Because you should really check yourself. You come off like you're polite and all that stuff.
That's not authorized by God. It's not authorized by God.
All right. Well, you should check yourself, Tony. Tony. In all honesty, you should really check yourself because you're a nasty, filthy, woman-thinking person.
You just hate the truth. That's all. You just hate the truth.
Yeah, I mean that's anybody can say that. Anybody can say that if they're a nasty, filthy person.
That's all y'all do.
Do you know anybody, Tony, who takes you seriously?
Seriously?
Do people in your personal life take you seriously, or do they think of you as kind of like a joke?
Oh my God! They say I'm the best teacher there is, bro. I speak truth. I tell them.
I gotta go, man.
I don't care if it's heard them or not. I'm telling the truth.
I mean, it's hard to have a serious conversation with this person. Tony.
I know it is because you can't stand the truth.
Tony.
That's all that is.
I'll talk to you later.
God bless.
After all that. PJ says, sounds like his mama. Yeah, they'll say the most disgusting things, taking joy. And there's like a little bit of facts mixed in with it, but he's like totally taking the side of evil and pretending like the destruction of whites is from God. What a sick person. Okay, Skip and Richard, hang tight, guys. I do want to get to you, okay? But real quick, speaking of just disgusting people, speaking of that, I got to tell you this UCLA cheating story. Okay, hang tight, Skip, Richard, the rest of you guys. 888-775-3773. It is the top of the second hour. I don't think I need a break, okay? Cheating UCLA students. What's new? And UCLA, everybody I know from UCLA who's gone to UCLA, especially the ones who didn't really know me growing up, they are just off the deep end, brainwashed liberals, pro-homosexuality, and just think Christians are dumb and out of touch. And anybody who came out of a UC system, UC, University of California, you know that, was it Janet Napolitano, who was the president of the UC system recently? And she was she the former chair of the part of the Fed? I don't know. She's like a government Democrat, feminist, nasty woman. I think it's Janet Napolitano. But she was the president of the UC system, but it's been corrupt much longer than before they even brought her in, which was fairly recently. But this is from Revolver. Hey guys, I'm reading Revolver too sometimes. Revolver.news. Interesting website. Feds bust another cheating ring at UCLA. And cheating is when you copy off of people or, you know, use deception to get good grades, right? Los Angeles, LA Mag, right, reports, Los Angeles Magazine. A Chinese cheating ring at UCLA reveals an industry devoted to helping international students scam grades. Ha! That's not very politically correct. And they give an anecdote. Here's one anecdote. One example. On paper, Liu Tai was a model student. After moving to the United States from Beijing, that's the capital of China, he majored in biology at UCLA and volunteered at the Boys and Girls Club. A former teacher, Jose Echevarria, remembers him as an excellent student, a great person who was easy to get along with. Those are the ones you got to look out for. Cai, C-A-I, graduated 2017 and landed a job at a healthcare technology company. Cheaters getting into healthcare technology companies in Santa Monica. He appeared to be doing everything right, so it came as a surprise. Yeah, Janet Napolitano was Secretary of Homeland Security under Barack Obama. So it came as a surprise when on a Tuesday morning in March, federal authorities arrested Liu Tai on suspicion of facilitating an international cheating ring. According to prosecutors, Tai, I don't know how I'm pronouncing his name, right? And I don't even know if it's a guy, but Liu, I think, is usually a guy. Oh yeah, they said he. But nowadays, you don't even know because they misgender people by calling them she when it's really a dude pretending to be a girl and all that stuff. 4 current and former UCLA students, along with this guy, and another student at Cal State Fullerton, California State University Fullerton, helped at least 40 Chinese nationals obtain student visas by fraudulently taking the TOEFL, T-O-E-F-L, an English proficiency exam on their behalf. Wow. Chai's ringers would show up to test sites with fake Chinese passports bearing their own photos but with the names of the clients. Wow. Where Chai slipped and where investigators caught up with him, was charging 39 test registration payments to his own credit card. Wow. And they pretend it's just the rich white parents. You know, this would be bigger news in the mainstream media if it were the so-called white parents. You remember that? National headlines when the news got caught up by a bigger, sexier college cheating scandal, Operation Varsity Blues. The UCLA investigation was dubbed Operation TOEFL Recall, T-O-E-F-L, which is the English proficiency exam. While the UCLA case is less shocking, bribes in the thousands of dollars instead of millions, Chinese high schoolers instead of full house cast members, it represents an equally notable underbelly of American college admissions corruption. If Varsity Blues is about American so-called ruling class, which is a ridiculous statement, perpetuating its privilege, the UCLA scandal reveals the extreme pressures and perverse incentives facing international students. Ridiculous. Many of them far less so-called privileged. Be quiet and desperate not to mess up their shot. They're even feeling sorry for these dishonest people. Taking the sides reminds me of their feeling sorry for the illegal aliens. This is all from LA Mag, Los Angeles Magazine. It's hard to find data on cheating that is broken down by country of origin, of course, because that would be racist. But a survey of 14 public universities by the Wall Street Journal, the RINO outlet, Wall Street Journal, leftist, anti-American outlet, anti-Trump, found that in 2014-2015 school year, those universities reported cheating among international students at a rate 5 times higher that of domestic students. 5 times higher. Oh, I learned something about Janet Napolitano. In 2018, a professor at UC Santa Barbara told the LA Times that Chinese students comprise 6% of the student body but account for a third of plagiarism cases. Do you speak English? A 2016 study conducted by a United Kingdom newspaper, The Times, said students from outside the European Union were 4 times more likely to cheat than UK and European Union students. Of course. It's the Tricoms. Few suggest that Chinese students, who make up a third of all international students in the U.S., cheat at higher rates than students from other foreign countries. People are understandably reluctant to make us any assumptions here, says Gary Pavella, who runs the Academic Integrity Seminar, an instructional program for students caught cheating. It's become very sensitive and somewhat politicized. Of course. In March, a professor at University of Maryland resigned after students accused him of discrimination for allegedly saying that all Chinese students cheat. I mean, if you're doing that, then I don't know if he said all. It's safe to say, though, that Chinese students bear the brunt of the scrutiny. In 2016, Reuters reported that University of Iowa was investigating at least 30 students, most if not all believed to be Chinese, over allegations of cheating. 2015, federal prosecutors in Pennsylvania indicted 15 Chinese nationals for a standardized test-taking scheme similar to the UCLA case. ACT Incorporated and the College Board, which owns the SAT, frequently delays or cancels scores in Asia when test materials leak. And you know, I have experience with this stuff in like high school. People would be cheating, including good students. People who I mean, you kind of have to know your stuff a little bit to be able to read somebody else's test and understand what they're doing and then go forward with it. But they were doing it back then. These people, very successful people today, too. Doctors and all that stuff. Of course. Sick. But then, you know, then you have people like Tony who thinks, oh, only Republicans are corrupt cheaters. But then they say, by any means necessary, Donald Trump is going to lose. So he thinks. What a joke of a person that Tony guy was, huh? Not good. Not good, especially at nearly 60 years old. 60 years old, that guy, Tony, my previous caller. Yeah, Janet Napolitano was Secretary of the Homeland Security under Obama, and she had been involved in, I think, the Fed and other... She had been involved in research things and stuff like that. Short-haired, not married woman. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but she might not be... She's definitely not a person who loves men or loves America. She's a liberal. And I've seen her name in like studies that I've been reading about regarding either abortion or crime or something. Because she's been in that government world for a long time. Very sick people there. But she was president of the UC system for some time. I don't know if she still is. UC, University of California system. We should get rid of this stuff. Or really, people should get away from this college stuff. And even this high school stuff. Because there's like you've seen it with blacks thinking, oh, education is the key. But it's not the key, because these so-called educated people are some of the worst people you can imagine. And they're liars. And it's worse than just cheating on a test. They are feeding destructive lies. Obama feeding destructive lies to the country. Ta-Nehisi Coates, that son of a Black Panther, pushing out lies and being promoted, propped up. And these all kinds of sick so-called educated people. There she is. There's Janet Napolitano with her shorter hair than me. Nice hair, though. Let me get to Skip. He's been on hold for some time in Augusta, Georgia. Wants to talk about the crime situation. Wants to clarify. Skip, it's good to hear from you. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing, Hake?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I do. Appreciate it.
All right. Look at here. That joker you had on there, that last caller, Tony.
That's a good name for him. Tony from California. Joker. A joker.
He seems like a pretty good fella, and I could probably sit down and drink a beer with him, shoot a game of pool with him.
Yeah, he's nice.
When it comes to talking, yeah, he's nice, but when it comes to talking logic, he don't really know what he's talking about.
Correct.
And
he's corrupt. He's corrupted.
When he said that 13%, that number's been going around for a long time. 13% of blacks.
In 60 years, I think whites 60 years ago, whites were over 90% of the population, maybe 95%. What was it? Yeah.
Do you know one reason? Why the black population probably hadn't risen that much in a long time?
Abortion and murders and
Planned Parenthood. That's right. Planned Parenthood.
And poor health habits too. But anyways, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, all kinds of different reasons. And the destruction of the men, and it's their own fault, really. They took the bribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But look at here, it's not 13% of the people committing over 50% of the violent crimes. It's
right.
6%. That's the men between the ages of 18 and 45 or 18 and 50.
Yep.
So if he really wants to get down to it, and I hope he's listening, I hope he pulls up on the side of the road if he's driving, because I don't want to run off the road with these facts.
Right.
But it's only 6% of the population that's really causing all this havoc. So,
but they're not causing it. They're a symptom too, because they're most of those so-called men. It's not, and you use the term loosely for men. These black males who are committing these crimes. They're mostly children of single mothers. Most of them are mama's boys. You know what I mean?
That's true.
This destruction is not from the black men per se, because it's not the men. Their manliness didn't cause them to do this. It's a female mindset that's violent.
I'll be 55 in December, and I can remember some black families that lived on the next street over from us.
Yeah.
And we all used to play together. But every single one of them had both parents in the household.
Yeah.
They had the mama and the daddy, and they were so respectful and so just good people. I mean, real good people.
Yeah.
And, but nowadays, like, I'll give you a good example. Okay, I got woke up about 2:00 this morning. My neighbor with the red weave, it was a green weave, but she's got a red weave now.
Yeah.
She lives right across the way from me.
And she's black? Black lady?
Black as coal. Yeah. But
you're friendly with her? Is she friendly to you?
Yeah, we're real good friends. I mean, she'll come over here and get a beer from me every now and then, borrow an onion, or I'll borrow a beer or onion or something from her, a cigarette or something.
So what happened what happened early this morning?
Well, she's got 3 or 4 sugar daddies, like 60-year-old plus sugar daddies.
60-year-old plus?
She had one. Yeah, old men. That's
and how old is
sugar
she?
Daddies, yeah. She's probably 30, 31 maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyhow, they were out here fighting. I mean, really fighting. I heard them hit the car, and I thought they might be fighting on my truck or something. I said, Stacy, get up. She can get up quicker than I can. I'm in this wheelchair. I said, get up, and look out the window, see if they're fighting on my truck over there. And she said, no. And I got on up in the wheelchair and I opened up the front door just so I could look. And she was beating the H-E-double-L out of that old man. And
man,
I don't know what it was about. It was probably about sex, and she didn't want to come off of it. He probably didn't spend enough money on her. I don't know. But anyhow, they fought out here for about an hour in the front yard. And and she's got a daughter. Get this now. This is what I'm getting to. She's got a daughter that's probably about 18 months old, and she had that baby girl on her hip the whole time she was fighting that old man.
Wow. Imagine a child being raised like that.
I know it. So, and it's not just her. I live in a black neighborhood now because I don't have much money, so I'm proud to be living where I'm living, to be honest.
Right.
But I see a lot of this, And,
I bet.
It is. It's a destruction of the family. Like Jesse said, it's a destruction of the family.
Yeah.
These single women trying to raise these youngins up, and they're raising them. They ain't raising them. The state's raising them. The state's paying for them.
Yeah.
Buying the groceries and all that. But they're not. Nobody's raising these kids.
And then everybody kisses up to the single mothers as though they're angels. And
yeah. And the kids, it's not their fault. They're a product of what they're being raised up in.
I know. That's why you have to be.
It's a generational thing.
That's why you have to be patient with people, because you don't know what caused them to have this mindset. You know what I mean?
You're exactly right. You can't go pointing the finger and saying it's because of this, because of that. But I know it is because of the destruction of the family. Yeah, I do believe that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyhow, I was hoping you was going to get me on there with Tony so I could straighten him out a little bit.
I thought of it, but I wanted to finish up with him. But next time, what was that?
Yeah. Well, I just hope he was listening, so maybe he can get his facts straight.
Right.
And hope Joe King is listening too, because he hates facts more and truth more than anything in this world. You know it.
I didn't know that. I know that he's very attached to facts, and he always uses that quote, "Facts are stubborn things, James." But he uses deflection type facts, like only a tiny percent of blacks are committing the crimes against whites and stuff like that. And it's
like we had mainly peaceful protesters in Portland, right? Yeah. He probably believes that too.
I don't know, but it kind of reminds me of this black RINO, Colin Powell, who voted for Obama. He used to be in the George W. Bush administration, I guess. He was Secretary of State,
mm-hmm.
and he's now for Joe Biden. It shows you what rot has infiltrated the Republican Party. Basically, the Republican Party is Democrats. It's disgusting.
Ask you something real quick, Hake.
Uh-huh.
How can anybody in their right mind vote for Joe Biden?
I know.
After seeing all of it, he can't even make a coherent sentence.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
He can use a teleprompter.
Are you able to pull up the Skype computer and play something off of the Skype computer? No. Okay. Oh man, I saw this clip. I retweeted it. It was from the Trump campaign. And the title of the video is something like, "What happened to Joe Biden?" And they show these clips.
I've been watching them. He's got 4 or 5 of them out there.
Yeah. From 2016, Joe Biden touting Hillary Clinton, and he has all this energy. Of course, he's simping for Hillary, right? And so it's just disgusting what he's saying. But then in 2020, he's fumbling and and confused. And it's and you see his age spots are bigger, and he's just decrepit and just lost. Hey, he's lost it. Yeah.
Hey, one more thing. The Democratic Party is really, really suffering, and they don't have much of a chance when they pull Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Up on the start talking. And what was he? How many times was he on that That airplane that went to Epstein's Island.
I don't know, but
the Louie.
Quite a bit. The Lolita Express going to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Yeah. And Jeffrey Epstein is accused of sex trafficking, and there was one supposed victim, alleged victim of the sex trafficking,
giving him a massage
in like an airport or something. And he's like laying back. I mean, nothing wrong with getting a massage, but from this minor who is alleged to have been participating in these weird, like, having sex with adult rich people, allegedly, men and women.
If he did it or not, just the fact that word's out that he did do it. Why in the world would you want to pull somebody up there on your platform to talk good for you? Like why use Bill Clinton?
If you're corrupted enough to vote for Democrats, then you really don't care about people's morality, I mean, there's going to be a lot of Democrats who are just, they've been stuck in this brainwashed mindset, and they're coming out of it, they're snapping out of it. So, but a lot of people just really don't care. It's kind of like what Trump said about, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and my supporters would still support me, because the supporters know that, they trust Trump to, if he shot somebody, he would have shot him for a good reason, right? So they just blindly trust dishonest. Bill Clinton is a known liar. He lied about everything,
Monica. He lied about
Monica. Lied about Monica to Congress, and he was impeached for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they forgive him. They forgave him. Well, look here. I don't want to take up no more of your time.
Thank you, man.
I really wanted to get on there with Tony, but I appreciate you doing a good job, hey.
Thank you, Skip. It's good to hear from you. Take care. Let me get to Richard in North Carolina. Wants to talk about the mail-in voting thing. Richard, it's good to hear from you. And then I will read your super chats and then other stuff too. Richard, it's good to hear from you.
Yeah, so I've been a USPS rural carrier, and I've also been a election official.
Nice.
I can tell you this right now: those ballots that are coming in from the mail-in are 100% fraudulent, and there's no way you can monitor and know where that comes from.
Right. Any old person could, or you say, "Oh, I didn't receive my ballot. Please send me another one." You know what I mean?
Did you hear about the one that was sent to a cat?
No, I didn't hear about that.
In Georgia?
Yeah.
Mr. Cuddles got a Tom Cuddles, and it was the cat.
That's funny. I mean, ever since what, like 2008 or 2012 or something, we've been hearing about dead people voting, which means like their ballots are used. Dead people, they still on the voting registers.
What was the movie when it says "I see dead people"? What movie was that?
The Sixth Sense, I think.
Yeah, he says, "I see dead people," and he says, "What are they doing? They're voting Democrat."
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I love that.
But that's what's happening, and these people are. You think they're not going to cheat when it's wide open to cheating? Of course they are. And on top of that, they bungle stuff too.
In North Carolina, I always loved. In 2012, there were 30,000 votes that were fraudulent, and that's in the state of North Carolina, 30,000 alone.
Wow,
alone. And
where'd you get that information that people can look up?
It was from the North Carolina Board of Elections.
Look that up, guys. Look that up, because I hadn't really heard that, and people. There are a lot of people who make claims, and I just don't want to.
And they're all Democrats. The majority of them were Democrats.
Wow.
Democrat votes. And
North Carolina, 30,000 from what? The North Carolina something register?
Board of Elections.
Can people look it up online?
And also Project Veritas, I think, was involved in nailing that.
Who was?
Getting that down. Project Veritas.
Oh, okay.
The one that's undercover.
There are some election integrity people. There's this thing called Election Integrity Project. Some of the people who run it have been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. I think that they were even subject to the Tea Party IRS scandal, where the IRS was doing these audits against Tea Party and Patriot.
Were removing their 501c.
Not just that, but they were just doing all kinds of stuff. Basically, like, when you're under audit and repeatedly under audit and stuff like that, it can take up a lot of your time. So it was just kind of debilitating to these people.
Because you get flood.
Time and money and all kinds of stuff. Even when you do everything right.
One last thing. Roy Cooper, who won in 2016, will probably lose this time. He had 50,000 ballots come in from Durham, North Carolina, which is notorious. I'm in Wake County, what I do it for Wake County. And Durham is notorious for that's where most majority of the 30,000 in 2012 came from.
Okay.
And they're notorious, and they had to do a recount, and at the last minute, like 50,000 votes came in, and Roy Cooper won.
Wow,
the Democrat.
That's crazy.
And I always say when I'm in Durham and I Durham County, I always see the Board of Elections. I always tell the director for Wake County, I like to go in there and give him a piece of my mind, and he laughs. He says, "Don't do that.
Wow.
we don't need it, even though you might be right."
What a mess. Yeah, and Roy Cooper is the guy. I mean, people make fun of him for having allegedly dressed in blackface, but he's the one who's for infanticide, and he's supposed to be a doctor, right? He's for
no. Roy Cooper.
Am I wrong?
The Attorney General, who allegedly struck down. He struck down a voter ID law. He signed.
Gosh.
He vetoed it.
Who am I thinking?
He didn't veto it. Passed. But then he put it up in court. He tied it up in court so he couldn't have it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'm thinking Ralph Northam. I was thinking Ralph Northam. They all look alike.
Roy
I was thinking
Cooper
Virginia.
is voicing the same gun. He wants gun control in North Carolina.
Yeah.
With all the rednecks.
And he attacked. He also attacked the beautiful people of the South, and he's supposed to be a Southerner. I think he got rid of the beautiful Confederate flag, which is a symbol of when the South was Christian and independent.
He lobbied as Attorney General to get rid of it.
What a sick man, male.
Well, he's not a male. He's a beta. He's a boy.
Right. I mean, he's a Democrat.
And he's kept us totally locked down. We can't do anything, and numbers are almost non-existent right now.
Wow, what a mess.
But he keeps it going. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Dan Forrest, 2020, and Mark Robinson, 2020. A lot of blacks are mad at Roy Cooper, and they say, well, look at Mark Robinson's black. And I said, look at Mark Robinson. If you like Mark Robinson, you like Dan Forrest. And this is the first time in North Carolina history that they're running together, because usually the lieutenant governor and governor are separate. So they can be different parties. They're on together like the president, vice president. And they're actually doing commercials together, and their campaigns are supporting each other. And this is the first. This is how strong the Republican Party is in North Carolina as far as the governor, lieutenant governor is guys. So I think it's a great thing that Mark Robinson. I think we need a black person to represent, because a lot of blacks are mad at Roy and they don't see anybody else. And
I don't like that. Honestly, I don't like that stuff. I don't trust pretty much any black so-called Republican who gets propped up in that way, because they're not solid Republicans. They're just
look up Mark Robinson.
Okay,
just
appreciate it.
Sometime. And he's a good man.
No man is good.
If you hear, huh?
I said no man is good.
Yeah, I mean he's okay. He's trying.
And I don't like this whole kissing up to, we need to get the blacks to vote because this is a black guy and he's conservative. Come on. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to tell you something, James. In North Carolina, there are a lot of frustrated Democrats who are black who are looking for a new party. And if Mark Robinson can bring them to the Republican side, that just means that state will be redder.
No, that's bad. That's bad thinking. If they need to look for a new party, they should be looking at Trump. And they see that Trump is a real guy. That's look no further. But we need people who that's California so-called Republican type thinking. You know what I mean? We are all sick of this kissing up to the minorities with their phony idea of identity. It's such a kiss up, fake, bad foundation type of reason to become a Republican. You know what I mean?
No, he's not. What I'm trying to say is I'm just glad that there are people out there that are standing up of either white, black, Chinese, Hispanic, or whatever. You know that?
But that's only if they're solid for what's right. I don't like all of this kissing up.
Seriously, look up Mark Robinson.
All right. Appreciate you, Richard.
Okay.
You're the one who said that that guy who died, the black guy who died, Herman Cain was your mentor.
Yeah, he's my hero.
All right.
I looked up to him because I said, if a black man can change his stripes and go, this is when I was kind of liberal.
Yeah.
And if a black man can do this, then as a white man, then I can look at the more conservative party. Then
you used to be kind of a hippie.
I was always a moderate independent, but I was a sociology, demographics. I was the more practical side of it. But I was kind of indoctrinated in college.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I changed. But Herman Cain changed my mind.
All right. I appreciate it, Richard. It's good to hear from you, man. Take care.
You too. Take care.
All right. Oh, man. Somebody said, wait a minute. It's about people said, God made us good. We choose to be evil. That's not true. But anyways, I mean, that doesn't sound right for sure. Because I don't know. I didn't choose to be evil, I don't think. Hydro PX gifted a subscription to Dindu Muffin. Thank you. By the way, I found the great video, the great short film titled Anti-Racist Hitler. And I do recommend it. I watched it again last night. Oh, man, it's such a great production, poignant. I found it on lbry.tv, library.tv. Well, I found it by going to White Rabbit Radio, all one word, dlive.tv/White Rabbit Radio, and then they have links to their Twitter and BitChute and library and other places. And so it's on library, lbry.tv. And then, but you have to go to dlive.tv/White Rabbit Radio. And then from there you can find in the About section a link to lbry.tv. I found it through his Twitter. I just poked around a little bit. But I found it because YouTube had gotten rid of it. And according to them, it's been banned by YouTube in 2019 or something like that. And I wasn't aware of that. And it has been banned in country after country. Dozens and dozens, I think, of countries is what I think it said in the description. 10-minute video. And it's just not nasty or mean to anybody. It's just laying out what's happening, but in a sci-fi world in which I don't want to give it away, but it's poignant. And it quotes actually from this nasty woman. Is it Barbara Specter? Yeah. She basically hates America and white people, and she's a Jewish communist, subvert the whole country and make it diverse, and we need to make it more diverse. I guess Hitler's Mein Kampf I mentioned, it complemented our immigration system pre-1965 because it was for maintaining the current demographics and keeping stability and Christianity and values and civilization. And now we just let anybody in willy-nilly as long as they're getting, quote-unquote, educated, indoctrinated against America and against freedom. It's so bad. And then she said, we will be resented. She didn't say we. I think she said Jews will be resented for our leading role in pushing this diversity stuff in America. Because she was pushing. I don't know how influential she was, but she was just brazenly, openly saying this. I think the normal subversive people were like, be quiet. I don't know. But she was just brazenly saying this dirty, nasty stuff against white Christian American people, and maybe Europe too. I don't know what decade she was in. It looked like the 90s or 80s or something like that. Maybe it was older. But she's still around? Well, not surprising. These old ladies and females. I was thinking how the nastiest, most evil females last forever. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Jane Elliott. Well, Oprah's not that old, is she? But just these sick people last forever. And also, the female-minded guy, Jimmy Carter. I mean, I wish him well, right? But Jimmy Carter is such a girly type of fake Christian. And Jimmy Carter, 95 years old, he touts his fake Christianity, and he's endorsing Joe Biden. So sick. But anyways, in the movie, it references a line from the character in the movie is more likable than Barbara Specter, I dare say. But it's poignant. It's beautiful. It's truth. I highly recommend checking out the video. It's funny. Diversity is good. Diversity is wonderful. Diversity is what makes the Middle East so peaceful. Anyways, check it out. That's a White Rabbit Radio on DLive, and then go to the About section, find the link to the library, lbry.tv. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, I emailed a must-see documentary to the Hake Report. Okay, thank you, man. And by the way, thank you to Rachel from England. Sent me the stuff that she was talking about that I couldn't keep up with what she was talking about yesterday. Joe Maddock gave a diamond and said, Tony can't even say truth, let alone knows it. He calls it truth with an F. Yeah. Hydro PX gave a diamond and said, blacks don't know what hypocrisy is. Yeah. I mean, they fall for... Jesus called the religious establishment at the time, I guess they were Jews. I don't guess. They were, at the time, hypocrites and other things like that. And now the so-called religious establishment, both the so-called conservatives and the liberals, hypocrites. Total hypocrites. And that includes the ones who are, respected in the national level. It includes the whites. It includes pretty much all of the black so-called religious leaders. And that guy, Tony, he's like, God bless you after spouting all that filth about the destruction and coming extinction of white people because you don't have kids. And that's true. I don't have kids. But he's like celebrating and joyful about it and saying, oh, it's God doing that to you. You reap what you sow. And that's such a commie version of history to pretend that the stuff that happened in the past is anything like the evil that they're doing now. Maybe there was some hard evil taking place, killing. And I don't know that taking over a people by force is necessarily evil. I guess it depends on the situation. It was God ordained in the Bible, right? And God even told Israel, like, sometimes you're going to get taken over by people lesser than you. It's crazy. But now we have soft evil. And it's every bit as evil. It's like a female version of evil where, oh, we're not going to kill anybody. We're just going to have them starve to death by the hundreds of millions. Is that the Holodomor was hundreds of millions died? How many millions? 50? 5 million? Oh, okay. 5 million only? Only 5 million died? What are you guys crying about? I'm playing. But anyways, Trills Von D gave a Ninjagini. Thank you, man. He says, what would this mean, that Asians aren't statistically smarter than everyone? Haha. Well, certainly communism has killed, hundreds of millions or something like that? Yeah. Females. Females are the worst murderers if you can count abortions. And they dramatize about slavery. Yeah, I mean, my Asian friends. I mean, in a sense, they know how to get ahead in the world. Pablo DR, or Pablo Doctor, I don't know. Pablo Dominican Republic? Pablo DR. Sorry, man, I'm butchering your name. Said, gave a diamond and said, Nick has #1 hair now. Yeah, did you see it? He has a nice fade. I wonder if he did it himself or went to the barber shop. Is fade the right word for it? But it's like to the bone or to the skin on the sides and then gets longer. Barbershop. Right on. Bogus speech, BS, barbershop. With masks, but it was outside. He's protecting his barber from prosecution. It's crazy. Oh, you know what? There's crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Yeah, outside and with masks. You know, women are pushing this stuff like crazy too. They want white old men extinction nearing. Speaking of, I gotta hand you this picture. There's this picture of some, and it has Sean Hannity and I don't know who. Maybe the guy from Fox and Friends. But they're talking about, it must be the Women's March because it has the pink beanies that supposed to look like cat ears, and they call them P-word hats. I don't want to repeat it. But it has that. It has Sean Hannity. It has the guy from Fox and Friends, I think. I just put it into my Wednesday folder. It's a gobbledygook name of the file. And it has Rand Paul, I think, and somebody else. And it spells out the word women vertically. W-O-M-E-N. And then women is an acronym that stands for W for white, O for old, M for men, E for extinction, N for nearing. It's like very bad English. White, old men, extinction, nearing, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Filthy, men-hating women. That's the Women's March. Nasty people. And there weren't really riots so much at the Women's March, but it was just promoting evil and lies. And I think I see a male with a mustache, a brown proud male, looks kind of Hispanic or something, right behind this woman's hand who's holding this sign. And I don't know what city that's in, but they hate whites, they hate old people, they hate men, and they are celebrating. Can you zoom in on that face? What, you see that guy in the lower, what is that, left-hand corner? What is a male doing? Oh, there's a blue-haired person in the back, too. Oh, yeah, there is. But, yeah, they really, and part of it is, look at that dude. That's a dude. I hope he doesn't call himself a woman. Or maybe it's a woman, because women, when they take those hormone things, they do start to get facial hair. It's very deceptive. Oh, that's Mitch McConnell. Sometimes called a turtle. But he's a RINO. But he sometimes stands with President Trump. Right on for that. I like how Trump gets some of these guys to function somewhat. Look at that guy. He doesn't look like he's very happy there. He's probably just simping for his girlfriend. But there's such a open and accepted hatred of whites, old people, men, because those people are the Christians, a little bit closer to real Christianity in the country, a little bit closer to real belief in freedom, a little bit closer to like actual wisdom rather than this phony version of love and stuff. It's fake. It's fake. I gotta check out this story of these cops that got shot in Austin. Who was it who shot them? This was August 16th, Saturday. 3 Texas officers shot by a gunman who holds 3 people in a home, and that took place over the weekend. And that was in Texas, in Austin, Texas. I wonder if the mother, a juvenile, and another person, age unknown, were in the home held by the person. But there is an attack on police, and there's an attack on real authority in the country. And that's why they're hating Trump. You see it with the Democrat Party. It's like disgusting. They hate real authority because these people are men. They represent order and decency and rule of law and real America. They're so hateful of real America. I'm saying I'm talking about anybody who has adapted the female mindset, where they feel sorry for George Floyd and stuff like that. It's so sick. These fake Christian Democrats. Nasty. Nasty. Oh, by the way, speaking of this fake Christianity, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, did you know that she pretends to be a Christian? I had no idea. I know that she's like part Puerto Rican, right? Her father was Puerto Rican, Puerto Rico, right? Wasn't he? He died, I think. And her mother was something, I don't know. Was she born in New York City somewhere? But I saw this from Revolver.news, guys, proud of me. Magazine says, if AOC is the future of the church, then God help us all. And it's from the National Catholic Registry. But honestly, the writer of this article, her name is Mary FioRito. F-I-O, capital R-I-T-O. But it's all pushed together as one last name. FioRito. She writes, when I read the headline of this woman Schlumpf's opinion piece, SCHLUMPF is the name of this woman who wrote this piece called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the future of the Republican Party, or not the Republican Party. Heidi Schlumpf, new executive editor of the National Catholic Reporter, right? And this other woman is writing also in the National Catholic Register, or Reporter, whatever. She said, when I read the headline of this Heidi Schlumpf's recent opinion piece, AOC is the future of the Catholic Church, I groaned. Catholics, except for decent Catholics like Vincent James and the great Robert Riley, who wrote the book Making Gay Okay, which is a reference to the culture rationalizing homosexuality, and Nick Fuentes. Those are like decent Catholics, right? And there's another, is that guy who was the father of the, I don't know if he's the father, but man, I'm blanking on his name. He's a paleocon, old dude. Pat Buchanan? Yeah, Pat Buchanan. Is he Catholic?
I think he's a Protestant.
Okay. But anyways, there's like some decent old school Catholics who don't fall for this fake mess and socialism and letting illegals come in and stay and all that. The only good thing about them is that they oppose abortion, and that's not even that good because they're putting women at the top. So are the fake normal Christians. But anyways, they said, this lady, Mary FioRito, writes, although I understand her appeal to young people, I am not a fan of Ocasio-Cortez, the 30-year-old bartender turned so-called female congressman. This Mary FioRito writer criticizes Cortez for her unwarranted and uninformed attack on the status of a statue of some statue that's in the state of Hawaii, right? You know how they're going after these monuments to great historical figures, right? But on top of that, this Heidi Schlumpf, her piece appeared to be mistitled as AOC's The Future of the Catholic Church because it emphasized Ocasio-Cortez's response to what Mary FioRito calls a vulgar verbal assault made against her by a fellow member of the House of Representatives. You remember this controversy? I touched on it. I played this guy's dumb apology. He never should have apologized. He kind of, did he cry? He almost broke down crying. Ted Yoho, a boomer. I'm pretty sure he's a boomer. Might be an old-looking Gen X. But Ted Yoho, a white man, who has a wife and daughters. I'm shaking my head because he brings up the language that he allegedly used in this confrontation with Ocasio-Cortez and says, I have a wife and daughters. I'm very sensitive to how I talk. Whatever. Just kissing up to AOC as a female. If she's, as a female, can't handle And if she's a nasty person, can't handle manly language, then she doesn't belong in Congress. Get out the kitchen, right? This woman, who's supposed to be a better Catholic than the other Catholic who thinks AOC is the future of the church, Mary FioRito, shares Heidi Schlumpf's outrage at the comments allegedly directed at the Congress female, and her analysis of AOC's rebuttal on the House floor is spot on. No. Nuh-uh. I don't buy that. Forget all these females. Because that's just kissing up to the woman thing. Whereas, yes, in the workplace or outside the workplace, people cuss. And allegedly this guy cussed. That's it. To speak to any woman in the matter, Representative Ted Yoho, Republican of Florida, allegedly did is shocking at best, unbefitting of a gentleman, as if she would know, and beneath the dignity of the public office he holds. Yeah, she doesn't know what she's talking about. He confronted her. Maybe he was a little angry. I don't know. Apparently he was, because he's apologizing. When you're angry, you go overboard with the aggression and overboard with the groveling, which is what he was doing, groveling. The New York, did he resign? Something happened. Sick. The New York Congress female, AOC, fought back not by trading insult for insult. Of course she insulted him. By pretending, but in an eloquent and moving speech that, as a mother of 3 daughters, I applauded. These females should not be commenting on the ways of the world or politics or the church. See what I mean? Like, this is a supposedly a conservative Catholic woman writing. But this is where Schlumpf and I part ways. Schlumpf, what a name, writes about how much Ocasio-Cortez's speech reflected her Catholic values. Specifically, Ocasio-Cortez repeatedly railed against the dehumanizing of others. Yeah, right, she calls people racist. There's nothing more dehumanizing than giving credence to the idea that the alt-right are Nazis, when Nazis are like the most dehumanizing word you can use, worse than the other N word, which ends in ER or A. I mean, unless you're a black on black criminal, where you say die N word, which is the last word many blacks hear at the hands of other blacks. That's also dehumanizing because it's just killing a person like an animal. But anyways. So dumb. This dehumanizing word. Abortion. Many criticize AOC's self-proclaimed role as supporter of reproductive justice, earning her a 100% approval rating. Which one is this? Is this Mary FioRito? Oh, that's Schlumpf. That's the female executive editor of the National Catholic Reporter or Registry or whatever. Register or whatever. Chris says, they all look like this. Yeah. Does not belong in any writing something that people read with any respect, right? They say respect women. No. Love women, respect men. That's in the Bible. You know, in the Bible it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Wives, respect your husbands. It doesn't say respect women. Trump says, I cherish women. And Hillary said, I don't want you to cherish women. I want you to respect women. That's so phony. Anyways, they talk about this reproductive justice stuff. Here's a... Oh, yeah, we're opening the treasure chest, guys. I have another biblical passage that I may get to today or maybe tomorrow. But this is a quote from Cortez's website. And I doubt it was written by her. But let me quickly open the treasure, get their treasure chest ready. They kiss up to this. You know, they use these, even the term abortion itself is a euphemism for killing the baby. Right? It's a euphemism. A euphemism is a word that, you guys know what that is. Anyways. It's really sick, but listen to what Cortez says, and there's anybody giving any credence to this female whatsoever is a liar. Reproductive freedom is especially essential for all individuals of marginalized genders. What does she mean, men? Yeah, who's more marginalized than men? Including cisgender women and trans people. Alexandria does not accept any federal, state, or local rollbacks, cuts, or restrictions on the ability of individuals to access quality reproductive health care services, birth control, HIV/AIDS care and prevention, or medically accurate sexuality education. Medically accurate. What a joke. This means open access to safe, legal, affordable abortion, birth control, and family planning services, as well as access to adequate, affordable pre- and postnatal care for all people, regardless of income, location, or education. This is the typical stuff to pretend that communism is going to take care of people and not kill them. The unborn have no place in AOC's world of inclusion and diversity. It's partly why I don't trust Catholics. Oh, there she is. I trust that face. Yeah, that's more trustworthy. Nutcase. Awful. But that's the state of the Catholic, at least this National Catholic Register or reporter, whatever you call it. Yeah, National Catholic Register. This is I wanted to say this is partly why we didn't used to let Catholics or like Catholics in the country, because, I don't know, they just have these questionable loyalties, right? But now just look at most of the nice Christians too, the Protestants, whatever you want to call them. It's like all people are corrupt. All the men are acting like corrupted, illogical females. What a mess. I'm sorry I can't get to the rest of the callers today. I got to end. It is 11 o'clock. And I have a passage related to men to read tomorrow. Remind me, guys. It's from 1 Thessalonians 4. And it's a nice passage that I thought about, because some people are like going crazy with this spouting off about thinking that they're telling the truth, and it's not the right way. And so I have an interesting passage for you tomorrow on the Hake Report. All right, thehakereport.com for my stuff, and JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse's stuff. And I'll get to the callers. Call in early tomorrow, guys. Sorry I could not get to you. Take care.